Hello dear friends, this is my video talk 3 on Prasad Consulting. The objective of this talk is to apprise all of you how Prasad Consulting can enable an effective academia-industry interface. Prasad Consulting is quite committed to support academia and to support industry and also bring an effective interface. Today's students are tomorrow's engineers. Today's students are tomorrow's scientists. If only we would like to have effective designs, wonderful equipment, wonderful launches, and wonderful laboratories tomorrow which can be manned effectively, and a phenomenal equipment in terms of science and technology, engineering, and all of them have to be placed on different platforms, may be ships or aircrafts or the tanks or various vehicles or including satellites. We need the academia industry interface to get bolstered up, to get very strengthened up. This is there in most advanced countries. This is also propelling in India, undoubtedly, but to the best of my appreciation, it is not so effective. We need to take industries to the institutions, academic institutions, and at the same time we need to have academic institutions certainly going to industries for the research. Every academic institution must have a role in the nation building, doing certain national projects. And at the same time, the academia, that is all the academic institutions, must focus as to what exactly the industry needs. There is no point in telling too much of theory and theory and theory and continuously bombard the students only with theory and examinations and give them certificates and send them out, and they come to the industry. In fact, they are not at all informed. Forget about their communication skills, even the knowledge skills are quite low. Except in IITs or IISc or in BITS and some kind of notable NITs, most of the engineering colleges do not certainly send out their students duly calibered to meet the industry requirements. That's the fact today. So what exactly is required, and where Prasad Consulting can enable this effective academia industry interface? In what form? How does it help? And what do we want to do from Prasad Consulting? That's the topic. Let me explain. Take an engineering college. Out of every 100 engineers who pass out, there is not even 1 or 2 design engineers effectively. Most of them, they become marketing engineers, or they become some testing engineers, or they become some on floor, some production engineers. And they can only do some kind of routine activities. But the innovation, the design part of it, that is possible only when the students have the brains to do it. We need brains. The self-reliance, Atmanirbharta, can come only when we have indigenous, innovative designs. How do you promote this design element? What exactly is required for the design, which is not taught in the engineering institutions? Industry requires, in the part of design, various aspects, whether you call about reliability, maintainability, testability, and various other aspects, that is, keep derating in mind at the time of designing, choosing the components itself. What are the various factors which have to go into design, which is whether it is the thermal management, or whether it is the stability, or whether it is various forms of entropy, and the other aspects with reference to the software in terms of what kind of software, what should be the standards, what should be a real-time embedded system, real-time operating system, how it should be, what kind of display application, how robust it should be, how virus-proof it should be, how unhackable it should be, and what kind of methods that do we go about for various mechanical aspects of it. What are the various types of enclosures? How do you do the ruggedness of the enclosure? What are the environmental parameters which affect this particular enclosure and the technology? What is the thermal shock? What is the thermal cycling? What is vibration? What is the shock? What are the various measurements which we do? How do we design any kind of an equipment for all these factors in addition to the functionalities? How do we ensure that no sneaks crop in? How do we ensure a perfect systemic design? These all must be taught in the institutions. There is no time. From the time the student comes out as an engineer with a certificate and gets to a job, the expectations will be very high. In this competitive world, there is no scope for mediocrity. In fact, I want everybody to read Peter S. Drucker's The Science of Management. There is a beautiful chapter, The Danger of Mediocrity. It is very dangerous to send the students with mediocre standards. They can't be. Mediocrity is a very dangerous thing, actually. You can't allow a student to be mediocre. Mediocrity does not get sponsored. It does not certainly get encouraged. The students who are mediocre will not have any chance whatsoever in this competitive world. So they have to be absolutely knowledgeable. It's only the knowledge-backed education that can help the industry. I visited many academic institutions, both in India and also abroad, particularly for my various selections. In fact, I toured, whether it was for the Navy or whether it was for my other appointments, other industry houses. I camped extensively many academic institutions. Even today, I'm in touch as part of the advisory councils for a number of institutions. The syllabus also is quite poor. We have not updated the syllabus. The professors are teaching from the kind of notes which actually they were using when they were students, and that will not work. Today's competitive world requires a lot of advancements in the syllabus. You will be surprised and shocked that the final year electronics and communication students, they don't have any subject called radars in some institutions. They don't know what radar is. How poor. They don't understand any kind of command control system. They have not really got the kind of communication equipment with the advancements today. They don't know really. When I was trying to give actually a topic in one of the engineering institutions, and I was explaining to them about the radar systems, none of them had any inkling about what radar is all about. In fact, that was not taught to them. They were in final year. Can you allow the students to pass out like this with this kind of lack of knowledge? Can you allow the students to go out without knowing what is reliability, what is maintainability, what is derating, what is ingress protection, what are the various standards which are required for the enclosure, what are the environmental standards, what is EMI, what is EMC? Without knowing all these things, why do they need to come out rather? You mean to say the industry has time to teach all these engineers? We call them as actually engineers when they get the degree, but they still continue to remain students for about 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Gone are those days where the probation used to be for 52 weeks, 45 weeks, like that extensive probation used to be there. The firm or the company or the business concern used to give them a lot of training, induction training, and with such a kind of span for about 52 weeks. And these days, no one has got time. They have to be on the scale immediately when they join. So this is the requirement as far as institutions are concerned. So for that, what is required? Industries also must get to the institutions, notify that these are the things which we are looking for. The students must be enabled to understand all these kinds of concepts. They must know Suppose if you talk about the technology in terms of the PCBs, etc., what exactly multi-layered PCBs are, what are the various backplanes, what is VME, what is PCI, what is CPCI, what is VPX, what is PC104, what are the various types of backplanes which are there, and what are actually useful, and how it is to be done, and what exactly do we expect in terms of the design. By the way, any design which we are talking about is mechanical in nature. You may have the wonderful electronics, but at the same time, how they are encased, how they are enclosed, what is the kind of enclosure, that makes a lot of sense. So therefore, whichever place you go, in fact, if you go to the RF electronics, the entire thing is mechanical again. A small deformation, small kind of a minor defect mechanical defect, that can in fact lead to heavy attenuations, in fact heavy variations in the RF performance. Whether you talk about the radiation patterns for the antennae, or whether you talk about a minor mechanical imperfection, can cause a lot of kind of a damage in the equipment performance. These are all the things which are facts. So therefore, then number of case studies have to be put. A lot of technology incubation centers must be there. Industry orientation centers must be there. Even as they go through the final year, pre-final year and final year, there must be new subjects to them. They must have design engineering as a specific elective. They can't just come out in some kind of a mediocre form and say that, yes, I can do some kind of a routine marketing. What is the idea of becoming an engineer? If an engineer doesn't have an innovative engineering ability with reference to what it should be, what a product should be, and if it doesn't have a fundamental design concept in his mind, then he is no engineer whatsoever. It is our duty to ensure that the students are really transformed into able engineers. And similarly, particularly I am talking about the engineering students. And similarly in the management, what is that? Routine teaching various theories. You teach routine motivation theories, routine leadership theories, and in fact, anybody you ask what are the various types of leadership, they will say democratic leadership, participative leadership, or an autocratic leadership, and which are conventional, which are actually old thoughts and concepts, and these are all gone. Neither a perfect democratic leadership can work in an institution. There is no time to keep on asking everybody and go on a vote and go about doing your management decisions. At the same time, you can take decisions offhand in your own way without weighing various aspects and situations. So therefore, today we need different kinds of managers. The managers who are suited for various kinds of circumstances, situations, probabilistic situations, uncertainty situations, risky situations. They should know what are the various penalties one has to pay if the management decisions are not good in terms of time and cost penalties. What are the various overruns? The projects cannot be for infinite time. Every project has to be for a finite time. So people should understand the importance of the aspects which are required in the industry at the institutions level, and the institutions must also take part in what the industry wants. They can't be isolated. Actually, one cannot be saying that, I am a professor if he has not contributed to the national research. There is no question of any professor saying that I am a professor if he has not contributed to the research in some form or the other for some project or the other. How many proceedings have you written? How many papers have you written which are applicable to the industry? What kind of a role as a professor, as an assistant professor you have taken in terms of shaping the various industrial projects? What kind of national integrated projects that you have been part of? What kind of professorial guidance you have given to the industry world for the design aspects? So there must be a phenomenal collaboration between the academic institutions and the firms in the industry world. If this is not effectively done, years will be lost, enough time will be lost, phenomenal wastage will be there. You have people working in the firm, half of them do not know what they have to do. So the burden is cast on their executives, senior executives, to keep on guiding them. And there is no patience, there is no way that you can continue to guide them infinitely. They have to come up to the standards. They can be assigned work, they cannot be guided and taught work. That's what I would like to say. There's no time to keep on guiding and keep on teaching fundamentals for those who join the industry jobs. At the same time, the academia, the professors cannot just routinely teach from their own hand notes or from some specific books of their life and finish off and give some kind of examinations and correct the students and say that they got 70%, 80%. What is the point in a fellow who has got a grade 9.5 or 9.4 and he comes out and he is absolutely seen to be mediocre? That's what I have seen in plenty of places. There is no effectiveness in understanding. Mere getting grades and marks will not suffice. That must get into the brains of the students also. So the grades which the academic institutions award, how much they become relevant in proving the effectiveness of that engineer when he joins a kind of an industry, an institution, a kind of firm, or a kind of an engineering firm particularly. In the process, what do we have? We have years of effort. We train a boy, a girl for 4 years and make one an engineer. And no good at all, really. What is the produce finally? The academic produce is ineffective. So the entire thing seems to be irrational if the industry doesn't work with academia and if academia doesn't work with industry, both the ways. So what is the method? The method is that the institutions must rationally understand what the industry needs are. Not only getting some speakers from outside, they come for 40 minutes and most of the students do not attend. There is nothing compulsory for them in any case. Attendance itself is not compulsory in many institutions. We have come to a kind of a method today. The student attending a class itself is not essential. You can write some examinations, submit some assignments, get some kind of grades and pass out. So it has become a matter of routine to roll out engineers year after year from several institutions, thousands of them in thousands of them. So we get lakhs of engineers out, but how many are effectively capable of making some contributions at the design level and work at the laboratory level and contribute to the thoughts in terms of various industrial applications and advancements? You think of China, you think of US, you think of Germany, you think of France, you think of UK, think of Israel, the size of which is not just more than a Bombay, in fact, if you really look at it, and the kind of technological advancements which they are not there in our country at the moment. Yes, there are some excellence, pockets of excellence even in India, but those pockets of excellence are a very few. You will be shocked to know that there is not one Indian academic institution which can rank in the top 100 of the world. Whereas Israel has got, and some other countries, Singapore also has got, but if you really look at it, there is not one institution, academic institution in engineering or management I'm talking about. IIM says they have got some kind of excellence, but others, particularly engineering institutions, Indian Institute of Science and IIT Kharagpur, they happen to get mentioned in the top 100 at one point of time. That was also beyond 95, 97, 99. There is no engineering institution or management institution in India, let me make a point, which can come in the first 50 of the top ranks of the world. Why is it so? Are we ineffective? Such a beautiful country with an excellent intelligentsia? No. So there is a huge void between academia and industry. If you take a Purdue University, the Cummins, in fact, ensures that they take over, actually. They are the patrons for that particular academic institution. Here we do not have any such kind of concept, actually. We have got some kind of compulsory internships and we have got some compulsory project programs. They also are all mediocre. The students are not interested with some seriousness, any kind of a project, keeping the nation's interest in view. They do offhand some kind of a thing just to meet their curriculum requirement and they pass out. Similarly, the industry is not involving academia for any kind of national research which is required. Of late, there is some kind of participation that is coming, of course. There has been a lot of participation from IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur. They have contributed. But apart from IITs and a couple of IIMs, really there is no serious contribution. I must say there is some contribution, but that is not adequate enough. The kind of national projects we have, numbers, where is exactly the kind of contribution coming from academia today? Who is looking at it? There are so many professors and professors and professors we have. And how many such professors have contributed to the national research? They should actually invoke their own conscience and actually the spirit of a professor. What exactly has he contributed? It doesn't happen in abroad university. In any university abroad, particularly in American university, you cannot become a professor if you have not contributed to the research, industrial research. How many grants you have got, how many research papers have you submitted, how much of your research has transformed into various kinds of systems. These are all the measures actually to make one professor in any American university. And such kind of prelate conditions are not there in our India. So therefore, we need to ensure that the professors, assistant professors in the institutions, both in the technology and management, in the engineering as well as in the management, all of them, they should contribute to the national research. They should come out, they should participate, and same times ensure that their students are spirited to understand what the industry needs are, get graded in those things. There is no grading whatsoever. This is what is required in industry. So therefore, how much do you know about it? Everybody has been taught some concepts actually. It is not enough. The concepts alone will not work. You have to have a beautiful understanding with reference to how to go about designing it, how to go about developing it, how to go about production development of it. What are the kinds of essential requisites which are involved in the design considerations, in the production considerations, in the platform fitment and adaptation considerations. What is the difference between verification and validation? Is it adequate? And most of the people don't know how to read drawings, most of the engineers. An engineer comes out and if you give him a drawing, he doesn't understand. Nor he can make a drawing for an object properly. I think it is very sad. So there is a huge void. Similarly, even industry, they're also in their own isolation. In fact, they don't actually, they call upon the professors and that intelligentsia, exceedingly intelligent, brightest professors are there in the universities. But their presence is not utilized and availed effectively for the research projects which are necessary for our country. There are no professors in the great decision-making councils, in the planning councils and the design kind of labs. So there is a need to have them. In fact, I say that every engineering company must have at least one professor from academic institution on their board. There is a necessity. And such kind of thoughts are essential. So therefore, I, having associated phenomenally with academic institutions and the various firms, been part of them, been visiting them number of times as their faculty, as their guest professor number of times, and spoken in various fora, and having understood the needs, I conclude that there is a huge void between academia and industry. So there is a need to take all the industrial institutions, firms and business concerns to the academic institutions and ensure that they are built actually to the purpose. If the academic institution doesn't train their engineers or their managers for a purpose, then it's a wasteful education. So the purpose must be very clear in the academic institutions. The need, the role that the engineer or the manager is going to play, that must be explained very clearly, categorically in the academic institutions. And similarly, the academia should take part in the national research. They must be part of the industries. There must be a huge interface that is required. Right now, there is a big void. How do you build this interface? Is it adequate that we have some kind of incubation centers, some internships? Are some professors coming routinely? Are some industrial men coming? Or some managers? They come and, in fact, give some kind of guest lectures and go away. Will that meet the need? The assessment is that about 70% of the guest lectures, 80% of the guest lectures is of absolutely no matter. They are routine. They do not really penetrate into the minds of the students. First point. Incubation centers, they are not adequate. Even then, the projects which are accepted and which are done, they are not of the current need. They are not of the absolutely the state of the art. So what is the point? So somebody is doing an experiment. In fact, the kind of application was there 20 years ago. What is the point? Outdated, obsolete. So therefore, you have to make your students current, not obsolete. The day they come out of engineering college, they are already obsolete with reference to the standards which are required. So therefore, there is a huge need for this academia interface. What do? We need to focus on the training of the pre-final year and final year students. Progressively place numbers of electives, refine their syllabus, define new syllabus, industry-oriented syllabus, and ensure that a lot of that is taught in the probation in the industry concerns is already covered in the academic institutions. So there must be a new wave that must happen between the academia and industry. And all the professors, assistant professors is not good enough for them to come and teach from their own hand notes or conduct some examinations and give liberally some marks or try to torture students with their some kind of things. And routine examination after examination, writing papers will not work. They should understand, they should go out. In fact, they should contribute to the national research. And every professor must be allowed to become an honorary director, a kind of an independent director on board of various concerns. He should contribute to decision making, product making, new designs, new thoughts. So therefore, if the professor himself is not industrially trained adequately and he is not equipped properly, what is that he is going to teach his students? And that's the sadness. In fact, most of the professors are obsolete. I had visited and they are bare. They do not know what is going on in the world. They are happy. They are happy in their world because they get the remuneration of a professor. And he is called a professor without having contributed anything to the national research, academic research. That's the sadness. And I'm talking to you very, very pointedly. I mean, no words. In fact, let me tell you, call a spade a spade. There's no question of trying to protect anyone here because it's a national requirement. We can't continue to do what we have been doing in academia and industry. Let me make this point explicitly clear. If we do not have even one institution, one good institution in the top 100 ranks, if you really look at it internationally, that's the sadness. And we have mushroomed various institutions, plenty of them. It's not difficult at all to become an engineer. In fact, first of all, there is nothing. Every student who comes out of +2 wants to become an engineer first, straight away. It doesn't matter whether there is no aptitude, no aptitude. After becoming BE or BTech, they think what to do then. So that kind of vagueness, that kind of casual, lackadaisical approach will not work anymore if we are talking about nation building. What is Prasad Consulting's? The prime objective to ensure that the nation is well built, self-reliance is brought out. For that Atmanirbharata, there is enough for the academia and industry both to do, and that interface must be effective. How to do it? What must be done to do it? What must be done for an organization to get its international repute? And how the industry must be helped with the academia, how the academia must be helped with the industry. The solutions are going to be given by Prasad Consulting. Thank you very much. I'm here. I would like to invite various academic institutions and also the firms to consult me. And I'm here with wonderful solutions for you. I'm part of you. I'm here to make solutions happen. Let's build a great professional academia industry interface. Thank you very much.